Juma's boots sank into the sun-baked earth as the lion cub's claws dug into his shirt. He held it tight, whispering calm words in Swahili, while the pride closed in. 7 massive forms slinking from the acacia shadows, their amber gazes locked on him without a blink. The air thickened with their low rumbles, a vibration that rattled his bones. He backed against a thorn bush, scanning for escape, but the circle tightened. The cub mewled softly, nuzzling his neck, its scent now mingling with his own sweat-soaked skin. No weapon, no vehicle, just him, the orphaned bundle, and the family's unyielding stare. If this tale of unexpected bonds has you on the edge of your seat, hit that subscribe button now, share with a friend who loves wild adventures, and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from today. Could be Nairobi, New York, or somewhere in between. Juma's mind raced back to dawn, when he'd first spotted the cub. He was patrolling the Masai Mara as a ranger, his Land Rover humming along the rutted track, when a faint cry pierced the engine's growl. There, tangled in a poacher's discarded snare near a dry riverbed, the tiny lion writhed, its leg caught in twisted wire. No adults in sight, likely scared off by hyenas or worse. Juma killed the engine, grabbed his kit, and approached slow, heart-hammering. Lions weren't pets, they were kings of this savannah, unpredictable as the winds that swept the plains. He worked methodically, gloved hands steady despite the risk. The snare bit deep into fur, but he eased it free with cutters, applying salve from his medpack. The cub's eyes, wide with pain and trust, met his. "Little warrior," he murmured, wrapping the wound. "You'll run again." Lifting it gently, he placed it in the passenger seat, planning to release it at dusk once the leg strengthened. But as he drove toward the ranger post, a distant roar echoed, deep, commanding. The pride was near. Now, hours later, under the relentless sun, they had found him. Or him and their kin. The largest female led, her scarred muzzle inches from his knee, nostrils flaring. Juma held still, breath shallow. Legends among the Maasai spoke of such moments, men marked by the wild, spared for a deed. But Juma knew better. He was Kikuyu-born, raised in Nairobi's edges, not a warrior with lion-skin cloaks. Wildlife was his job, not his spirit animal. She sniffed the cub first, rough tongue rasping over its fur in a mother's inspection. The cub responded with eager licks, squirming toward her. Juma's arms ached, but he didn't release it. Another lion, a young male with a dark mane fringe, paced to his left, paused silent on the grass. Tension coiled in Juma's gut. Any sudden move, and instincts would turn curiosity to charge. Minutes stretched. The pride didn't lunge. Instead, the female circled closer, her breath hot on Juma's arm. He felt the cub shift, then a wet warmth. Her tongue grazed his skin, tasting the mingled scents. Grooming? Acceptance? His pulse thundered. In training videos, he'd seen prides integrate outsiders, but humans. Rare whispers from old rangers hinted at it, men who lived among them for days after such saves. The male approached next, bumping Juma's leg with his broad head, not a threat, but a nudge, like testing a new pride member. Juma exhaled slowly, lowering to one knee, offering the cub fully. It tumbled into the female's paws, reunited, but the pride didn't scatter. They pressed in, bodies brushing his sides, rumbling approval deep in their chests. Juma sat amid them, surrounded yet untouched. The shocking truth dawned. They saw him as pack now, protector woven into their fold. Hours passed as the sun dipped low, painting the savannah gold. He radioed his post sparingly, situation stable, monitor only. No extraction. Forcing it risked everything. Night fell, stars pricking the velvet sky. The pride settled, the female curling near his feet, cub nursing contentedly. Juma leaned against a rock, rifle across his lap, mind whirling. This wasn't glory, it was a tether. Leaving meant abandonment, staying invited peril. Hyenas yipped in the distance, drawn by vulnerability. He pondered his life, 32 years patrolling these lands, widowed young, no children to pull him back. The Mara had claimed many, now it claimed him differently. Dawn broke with the pride stirring. They rose as one, moving toward waterholes miles off. Juma followed, pack mentality gripping him. The female glanced back, expectant. He slung his pack, boots crunching gravel. Rangers would question his silence, but words failed this bond. Days blurred into a rhythm. They hunted at twilight, impala scattering under claws, Juma averting eyes from the raw necessity. He foraged mopane leaves, sipped from streams, shared kills' edges when offered. The pride taught him. Flank left on gazelle, freeze at wildebeest thunder. The cub, leg healing strong, tumbled beside him, play-fighting his jurs. But cracks formed. A rival male shadowed their trail, mane full and battle-scarred, challenging the young one. Roars split the night, bodies slamming in dust clouds. Juma watched from thorns, torn, intervene, break the illusion. The young male held barely, limping away victorious. The female nuzzled him, then Juma, as if sharing the burden. Whispers reached even here, aircraft buzzed overhead, rangers searching. Juma's radio crackled faintly. "Juma, report, pride sightings near river." He switched it off, guilt gnawing. This wild kinship thrilled and trapped him. Freedom tasted of dust and muscle, yet humanity tugged. Duty kin in the city. One evening, as thunderheads brewed, the pride crested a ridge overlooking the Mara River. Hippos grunted below, crocodiles sunning. The female paused, cub at her side, turning to Juma with those piercing eyes. A choice loomed, descend with them into deeper wilds or signal for pickup. The shocking path they'd forged hung in balance. The rival male appeared then, bolder, flanked by two females from another group. Growls escalated, the pride tensing. Juma gripped his rifle, pulse surging. This wasn't his fight, yet it was. The young male stepped forward, mane bristling, and Juma moved with him, shoulder to shoulder in the fray's edge. Clash erupted, dust flew. The female shielded the cub, Juma shouting diversions in Swahili, waving arms to split attention. Paws swiped air near his thigh, wind of near misses chilling him. The rival retreated, tail low, pride intact. Exhaustion hit as they regrouped. The female licked Juma's arm again, deeper now, affirming. He sank down, realizing the depth. He'd become guardian, not savior. But isolation clawed deeper. Dreams haunted, Nairobi lights, his late wife's smile. Weeks in, a patrol vehicle rumbled close. Juma signaled from afar, waving them off. Not yet, he told himself. The pride watched, patient. The cub, now bounding strong, head butted his knee playfully. Shocking loyalty bound them, yet doubt festered. During a solo walk to a stream, Juma spotted poachers, silhouettes with rifles, snares glinting. Heart seized, return to duty or stay phantom. He shadowed them back to camp, pride trailing unseen. Confrontation brewed that night, poachers' fire flickered, Juma crept near, pride's rumbles his cover. A shot cracked toward shadows. Chaos, lions charged, poachers fleeing into darkness. Juma emerged, rifle raised, directing rangers via radio. Coordinates sent, pride assisted. Dawn brought helicopters, colleagues staring as Juma emerged dusty, cubless but marked, scratches like pride tattoos. "What happened out there?" his captain asked. Juma smiled faintly. "They chose me, briefly." The shocking truth, the pride had vanished at first light, cubs scampering after, leaving him forever changed. He resumed patrols, but now with eyes that saw deeper, wild hearts mirroring his own resilient beat. Subscribe for more gripping tales from the edge of the wild. Like and share if this gripped you, and comment your thoughts below. Juma froze amid the golden grass, the pride's circle tightening like a noose woven from muscle and shadow. The mother lioness, her flanks scarred from battles unseen, stepped forward first. Her gaze locked onto the cub now nestled against Juma's chest, its tiny paws kneading his shirt in rhythmic trust. He had pulled it from the jaws of a snare that morning, his hands steady despite the thorns that tore his skin. But now, with 12 pairs of amber eyes fixed on him, doubt clawed at his resolve. The air hummed with their low rumbles, not the guttural warnings he expected, but something deeper, a vibration that resonated in his bones. Juma's mind raced back to his own fractured past. Orphaned young in these very plains, raised by an uncle who patrolled the edges of the Maasai lands, he knew isolation's bite. Villages shunned wanderers like him, marking him as cursed after a fire claimed his family home. Yet here he stood, heart pounding in sync with theirs, wondering if this was judgment or invitation. She circled him slowly, closer. Her breath warmed his arm, hot and rank with the scent of earth and recent kills. Juma didn't flinch, though every instinct screamed to run. The cub mewled softly, bridging the impossible gap. Then, in a motion that defied the wild's code, the lioness extended her rough tongue and rasped it across his forearm, once deliberate, marking him with her saliva's salty claim. Gasps escaped him. Not an attack. Acceptance. The pride shifted, males rose from their haunches, manes flowing like dark flames in the wind. They didn't lunge. Instead, they parted slightly, revealing a path through the grass toward the acacia thicket. The cub wriggled free, scampering ahead with newfound vigor, glancing back as if urging him on. Juma hesitated, pulse thundering. Was this a trick of the light, a fever dream from dehydration? He followed, steps measured, the circle closing behind him like silent guardians. Deeper into the thicket, the ground softened underfoot. The lions fanned out, their forms blending with the dappled shade. Juma's breath caught as they halted before a hidden hollow, a den carved into the earth, lined with bones polished smooth by time. But it wasn't empty. Curled within lay another cub, smaller, weaker, its ribs stark against fur matted with exhaustion. Abandoned, starving. The pride had led him here, to this fragile life on the brink. The mother nudged the newcomer toward the frail one. It nuzzled instinctively, sharing warmth. Juma knelt, hands trembling as he assessed. No water nearby, no easy prey. He rummaged in his satchel, pulling the last of his dried meat and a flask half full. Carefully, he offered morsels to the cubs, the pride watching without interference. Hours blurred. He fashioned a shelter from branches, whispering old Maasai songs to calm the night. If this tale of unlikely bonds has you on the edge, hit that subscribe button for more stories straight from the wild's heart. Share with a friend who loves nature's mysteries, and drop a comment. Have you ever faced the untamed up close? Dawn broke with the pride stirring. Juma rose, muscles aching, but a strange peace settled in. The lioness brushed against him again, her weight a promise. They moved as one now, toward the river's gleam. He realized the shocking truth. In saving one, he had woven himself into their world, no longer outsider. Pack. Yet tension lingered. Hyenas' distant yips echoed, challenges to this fragile truce. Juma gripped his rungu stick tighter. The pride's eyes met his. Resilient, unyielding, together they advanced. The hyenas closed in, their shadows slinking like thieves in the twilight scrub. Juma's heart pounded a steady rhythm against his ribs, each beat sinking with the low rumble from the pride's throats. The cub, now tucked safely between its mother's paws, let out a tiny mew that pierced the thickening air. 5 hyenas emerged fully, eyes gleaming with opportunistic hunger, circling the group in a loose, mocking arc. The lead lioness, scarred flanks rippling under golden fur, didn't hesitate. She lunged first, a blur of muscle and intent, scattering 2 foes with a swipe that sent dust exploding upward. Juma swung his rungu in a wide arc, connecting with a hyena's flank. It yelped and retreated, limping into the thorn bushes. The pride moved as one living wave. Males flanked the sides, their manes erect like crowns of defiance, driving back the pack with thunderous roars that vibrated through the earth. Juma stayed close to the mother, his stick an extension of his arm, fending off a snapping jaw that came too near the cub. No words passed between man and beasts, only shared purpose, forged in the fire of survival. One hyena darted low, aiming for the cub's vulnerable form. Juma dropped to a knee, thrusting his rungu forward. The beast recoiled, but not before the mother lioness pivoted, her massive paw pinning it momentarily. The pride seized the moment. The alpha male charged, forcing the intruder to flee with tail low. The yips turned to frantic howls as the pack broke, scattering into the gathering dusk. Silence fell, broken only by heavy breaths and the cub's contented purr. Juma straightened, sweat tracing paths down his neck, his grip loosening on the rungu for the first time. The pride didn't scatter. Instead, they turned toward him, eyes reflecting the dying light. The mother approached first, her gaze locking onto his. She sniffed his hand, then pressed her broad head against his chest, a gesture so deliberate, so trusting, it stole his breath. If you're gripped by this tale of unlikely bonds in the wild, hit that subscribe button, share with a friend, and drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Could be the savannah itself. The shocking truth unfolded as the pride led him onward. They wove through acacia groves, the cub now trotting confidently beside Juma's legs, no longer surrounded in threat, but in quiet invitation. Hours blurred into the night, stars wheeling overhead like ancient witnesses. They reached a hidden gorge, its walls etched by centuries of rain, where a spring bubbled clear and life-giving amid the parched lands. Juma had known these lands his whole life, herding his father's cattle across the Maasai plains near the Tanzanian border. Drought had claimed half the herd last season, forcing him deeper into lion territory than any elder advised. Saving the cub had been instinct, trapped in a poacher's snare, its cries echoing his own desperation for something to hold on to. But this was beyond reckoning. The pride drank deeply, then the mother nudged him forward. He knelt, cupping water to his lips, the coolness a revelation after days of thirst. The lions watched, unblinking. Then one by one they marked the earth around the spring with their presence, circling wider until Juma stood at the center. The alpha male approached last, rubbing his cheek against Juma's shoulder in a ritual of acceptance. Scents mingled, wild musk and human sweat, binding them in ways no spear or oath ever could. Dawn broke as they departed the gorge, the pride fanning out protectively. Juma followed, rungu slung over his shoulder, the cub occasionally batting at his ankle. They traversed the open plain, where his village's smoke signals rose faint on the horizon. Word had spread of his absence. Searchers would be combing the grasses by now. Yet the pride didn't abandon him at the tree line. They shadowed him for miles, a golden escort against lurking threats. Hyenas trailed at a distance, deterred by the unified front. Juma's mind raced with the impossibility of it all. Maasai lore spoke of Enkipaaya, the lion friends, warriors granted favor by the kings of the savannah. But this felt deeper, a pact sealed in mutual vulnerability. As the village hut sharpened into view, children spotted him first, their shouts carrying on the wind. Elders emerged, spears in hand, faces etched with worry turning to awe. Juma raised a hand in greeting, but his eyes flicked back to the pride. They halted at the plain's edge, silhouetted against the rising sun. The mother lioness met his gaze one time. In that look, Juma saw gratitude mirrored, a life for a life, trust repaid in full. She turned, the pride flowing after her like a river of gold, vanishing into the heat haze. The cub glanced back once, then bounded to catch up. Juma walked the Al stretch alone, yet forever changed. The elders questioned him that night by the fire, hanging on his every word. He spoke of the snare's cruel twist, the cub's plea, the circle of fangs. But the heart of it, the shocking embrace of predators turned guardians. He kept close, a secret etched into his skin like invisible scars. Word spread beyond the Enkang, tales of the man who walked with lions. Strangers came, offering cattle for stories, but Juma herded quietly, his rungu now bearing faint claw marks from the fray. The pride's distant roars echoed on windy nights, a reminder of fragile truces won through action, not pleas. Years later, when drought clawed again at the lands, Juma led his own sons to that hidden spring. The water flowed steady, guarded still by unseen eyes. He taught them, bonds form not in weakness, but in the stand you take when shadows gather. The lions had chosen him not for pity, but for the fire in his veins, the same that burned in theirs. And in quiet moments, under starlit skies, Juma felt the weight of that circle anew. Man and beast, divided by fang and flesh, yet united against less wild. If this story of raw survival and unexpected loyalty moved you, smash that like button, subscribe for more cinematic tales from the edge, share it far and wide, and comment below. What's the wildest bond you've ever witnessed? Your stories keep the fire burning.